Commander HFY stared at the readings on his screen for the third time. The numbers still made no sense. His blue-scaled fingers moved across the control panel, running another deep scan of the small yellow star ahead. The mission was supposed to be simple. The Galactic Council had sent his scout fleet to evaluate a new species for possible membership. The humans of Earth had just started traveling between their planets. Their technology was basic, maybe 1,000 years behind most galactic civilizations. "Commander," his communications officer called out, "we're getting strange energy readings from the outer system." HFY turned his attention to the tactical display. His ship, the Star's Edge, was still 2 days away from Earth. But their long-range sensors were picking up something unusual near the gas giant the humans called Jupiter. "What kind of energy?" he asked. "That's the problem, sir. It looks like quantum resonance. But that's impossible. These humans barely have fusion power. Quantum resonance was advanced technology, very advanced. Only a few species in the galaxy had figured out how to use it. The humans shouldn't even know what quantum meant in that context." HFY moved to the science station. His science officer, Lieutenant Karath, was running scan after scan. Her green eyes showed worry. "Show me," he said. The display lit up with a 3-dimensional map of the outer solar system. Most of it looked normal. Planets, moons, asteroids. But near Jupiter there was something else. A cluster of objects that looked like rocks from far away, but the energy coming from them was wrong. "Enhance that sector," HFY ordered. The image zoomed in. What had looked like asteroids before now showed more detail. There were asteroids there, yes. But hiding among them was something that made HFY's blood run cold. It was a ship. But not just any ship, the design was wrong. All wrong. The curves and angles followed patterns that HFY had seen only once before, in the forbidden archives of the Galactic Council. This ship looked like it had been built by the precursors. The precursors had been gone for 3 million years. They had left behind artifacts scattered across the galaxy. But those artifacts were dangerous, really dangerous. The Council had strict rules about them. Any species that tried to use precursor technology was either quarantined or destroyed. "Sir?" Lieutenant Karath's voice was quiet. "Those energy patterns, they matched the forbidden database." HFY felt his hearts beating faster. He had 2 hearts like all his people. Right now both were racing. "Are you certain?" "Yes, sir. 97% match with precursor quantum signatures." This changed everything. If the humans had precursor technology, this was no longer a simple first contact mission. This was a potential galaxy-wide crisis. "Send a message to the Council," HFY ordered. "Priority 1. Tell them we have a Code 7 situation." Code 7 meant precursor artifacts. It meant that everything stopped until the Council decided what to do. His communications officer's hands moved quickly over her controls. "Message sent, sir. But it will take 6 days to reach the Council and get a response." 6 days. HFY looked at the display again. The ship hiding in the asteroids was big, maybe 2 kilometers long. If it really was precursor technology, it could probably destroy his entire fleet without trying hard. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the planet Earth." HFY turned. "What kind of transmission?" "It's in several languages. Mostly what they call English. It's a welcome message. They're asking us to come closer and talk." So the humans knew they were there. That was expected. His ships weren't trying to hide. "Do they mention the ship near Jupiter?" "No, sir. The message talks about peace and friendship. Standard first contact protocol stuff." HFY made a decision. "Set course for the asteroid field near Jupiter. But keep our weapons ready and shields up." "Sir?" His tactical officer looked surprised. "Shouldn't we go to Earth first?" "No, we need to see that ship up close. If the humans really have precursor technology, we need to know about it before we make contact." The Star's Edge and its 2 escort ships changed course. They moved carefully toward Jupiter. As they got closer, their sensors picked up more details. The ship was definitely precursor design. But there was something else. Human technology was mixed in with it. Parts of the hull showed human construction methods. The energy signatures were a mix of human fusion power and something much more advanced. "Commander," the science officer said, "I'm reading life signs on that ship." "Human life signs? How many?" "Hard to tell. The precursor hull is blocking our scans. Maybe 50 to 100 humans." HFY thought about this. The humans had not just found precursor technology. They had built a ship with it. They were using it. Sir, incoming transmission from the ship. From the precursor ship? Yes, sir. It's on a frequency we've never seen before, but our computers can understand it. Put it through. The voice that came through the speakers was human. Female. Speaking in accented English. Unknown vessels. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. You are approaching a restricted military zone. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions. HFY looked at his crew. The human was talking to them like she was in charge. Like her ship was a threat to them, maybe it was. This is Commander HFY of the Galactic Council Fleet. Star's Edge. We are here on a peaceful mission to establish contact with your species. There was a pause. Then the human voice came back. Galactic Council? We weren't expecting visitors. Please maintain your current position while we contact our leadership. The transmission ended. HFY turned to his tactical officer. What are our weapons reading on that ship? The officer checked his display. His face went pale. Sir, our computers can't identify the weapon systems. But the energy output suggests they could destroy us easily. All of us? All of us, sir. Maybe our entire fleet. HFY sat back in his command chair. He had been in space for 40 years. He had seen a lot of strange things, but he had never been in a situation like this. The humans were supposed to be primitive. They were supposed to be like children playing with fire. Instead, they had built a ship that could probably fight the entire Galactic Council fleet and win. Sir, another transmission coming in. From the ship? No, sir. From Earth. It's that Admiral Chen again. Put it through. Commander HFY, please forgive the confusion. We would like to invite you to Earth for formal first contact procedures, but I must warn you, the area around Jupiter is off limits for security reasons. HFY thought carefully about his response. He needed to be diplomatic, but he also needed answers. Admiral Chen, we appreciate your invitation. However, our sensors indicate you have technology that our council needs to know about. May we ask where you obtained it? Another pause. Longer this time. Commander, that's a very complicated question. Perhaps we should discuss it in person. I'm sending you coordinates for a meeting point near Earth. The transmission ended again. HFY looked at his crew. They were all waiting for his decision. He had two choices. He could follow galactic law and demand that the humans surrender their precursor technology immediately. That would probably start a war, or he could go to Earth and try to understand how a primitive species had built a ship that shouldn't exist. Set course for Earth, he said. But keep scanning that ship. I want to know everything about it. As his fleet turned toward the blue planet, HFY wondered what other surprises the humans were hiding. Admiral Sarah Chen closed the communication channel and rubbed her tired eyes. 3 days without sleep had left her feeling like her brain was full of sand. But sleep was impossible now. Not with alien ships in their solar system asking questions about the Prometheus. The Prometheus, humanity's greatest achievement and its most dangerous secret. She walked through the corridors of the space station orbiting Earth. Outside the windows, she could see the planet turning slowly below. It looked peaceful, beautiful, but appearances were lying. Earth was preparing for a war that might already be lost. Admiral, her aide called out. Dr. Vasquez is here for the briefing. Sarah nodded. Send her in. Dr. Elena Vasquez entered the room looking as tired as Sarah felt. The scientist had been working on the Prometheus project for 15 years. She knew the ship better than anyone alive. She also knew how dangerous it was. Elena, tell me the truth. Are we in trouble? Dr. Vasquez sat down heavily. That depends on what those aliens know about precursor technology. Sarah poured 2 cups of coffee from the machine in her office. Real coffee was expensive in space, but today seemed like a good day to waste some money. Start from the beginning. For the record, Dr. Vasquez took a sip of coffee and began talking. 15 years ago, a mining expedition in Antarctica found something under the ice. It wasn't from Earth. The metal was unlike anything we'd ever seen. The design was clearly artificial but not human. Sarah had heard this story before, but she needed to hear it again. For the recording. For history. At first, we thought it was a crashed spaceship. The hull was damaged, but most of the internal systems were intact. We spent 3 years just trying to figure out how to get inside. And when you did, we found things that shouldn't exist. Computer systems that ran on quantum probability instead of electronics. Engines that could bend space and time. Weapons that could crack planets. Dr. Vasquez paused and took another drink. The worst part was the AI core. It was still active after who knows how many thousands of years, and it was waiting for us. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Even after all this time, the AI made her nervous. It started teaching us, not with words, but by showing us how to build things, how to work with materials that broke every law of physics we knew. The Council of Nations decided to build a ship using the alien technology. Against your advice. Against my very strong advice. I told them we were playing with forces we didn't understand. The AI was helpful, but it never explained why it was helping us. It just showed us how to build a ship that could destroy solar systems. Sarah walked to the window and looked out at Earth. Down there, 4 billion people were living their lives. Most of them didn't know about the Prometheus. They didn't know that their species had built something that could either save them or destroy them. Tell me about the AI. Dr. Vasquez was quiet for a moment. It calls itself the Guardian. It says it's been waiting for us. But waiting for what? It won't say. And the ship's capabilities? The Prometheus can travel faster than light without using hyperspace. Its weapons can destroy matter at the quantum level. Its shields can stop anything we can think of to throw at it. Sarah turned back to Dr. Vasquez. Could it fight those alien ships? It could destroy them without trying hard. But Elena, that's not the scary part. What's the scary part? Sometimes the ship knows things it shouldn't know. It has star maps of places we've never been. It responds to threats before they happen. Yesterday, before those alien ships even arrived, the Prometheus powered up its weapon systems. Sarah felt her blood turn cold. It knew they were coming. It knew something was coming. The AI told me to prepare for visitors. When I asked what kind of visitors, it said, the kind that ask dangerous questions. A chime sounded from Sarah's communicator. Admiral, you have a priority message from the Defense Council. Sarah activated the screen on her desk. The face of General Morrison appeared. He looked grim. Sarah, we've made a decision about the alien contact. What decision? We're going to tell them the truth. About the Prometheus. About everything. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. Sir, with respect, that's a terrible idea. We don't have a choice. Our deep space monitors picked up their transmissions back to their government. They're already reporting precursor technology. If we lie now and they find out later, it'll be worse. Dr. Vasquez leaned forward. General, you don't understand. If these aliens have laws about precursor technology, telling them could mean war. Dr. Vasquez, we're already looking at war. The question is whether we fight it with lies or with truth. The screen went dark. Sarah and Dr. Vasquez sat in silence for a moment. Elena, I need you to go back to the Prometheus. If this goes bad, we might need that ship ready to fight. Dr. Vasquez stood up. Sarah, there's something else you should know. Something I haven't told the Council. What? The AI has been asking me questions. About human history. About our wars. About how we treat our enemies. What kind of questions? It wants to know if we're ready for responsibility. It keeps talking about a test that's coming. When I ask what test, it says I'll know when it happens. Sarah felt a cold weight settling in her stomach. Elena, do you think we're the first species to find this technology? No. I think we're just the first species the AI has chosen to help. Dr. Vasquez left for the transport that would take her back to the Prometheus. Sarah stood alone in her office looking out at Earth. Her communicator chimed again. This time it was a transmission from the alien fleet. Admiral Chen, this is Commander HFY. We would like to meet with your leaders as soon as possible. We have questions about your technology that cannot wait. Sarah activated the transmitter. Commander, we would be happy to meet. But I should warn you, the answers to your questions might not be what you want to hear. Admiral, with respect, we already know you have precursor technology. What we need to know is how you got it and what you plan to do with it. Sarah closed her eyes. Commander, what do you know about the precursors? We know they vanished 3 million years ago. We know they left behind artifacts that are extremely dangerous. We know that every species that has tried to use their technology has either destroyed itself or been destroyed by the Council. Then you know why this conversation is going to be difficult. There was a long pause. Admiral, are you threatening us? No, Commander. I'm trying to save all of us. The transmission ended. Sarah sat down at her desk and started writing. If this was going to be humanity's last day of peace, she wanted to make sure someone recorded what happened next. Outside her window, Earth continued turning. Beautiful and peaceful and completely unaware that first contact might also be humanity's last contact. In the asteroid field near Jupiter, The Prometheus waited. Its AI core hummed with ancient knowledge and terrible purpose. Soon, very soon, the test would begin, and humanity would learn whether they were ready for the inheritance that had been waiting for them among the stars. Dr. Elena Vasquez floated through the corridors of the Prometheus, her magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor. The ship felt different today, more alive somehow. The walls hummed with energy that made her skin tingle. She had been working on this ship for 10 years, but she still didn't understand how it worked. Human technology and alien technology were mixed together in ways that should have been impossible, yet somehow it all functioned perfectly. "Guardian," she called out to the ship's AI, "I need to talk to you." Lights flickered along the walls, leading her toward the command center. The Guardian never spoke through speakers like human computers. Instead, it communicated through patterns of light, changes in gravity, and sometimes direct neural interface. Elena reached the command center and placed her hand on the quantum core interface. Immediately, her mind filled with the presence of something vast and ancient. "You are troubled," the Guardian said without words. "The aliens are here. They know about precursor technology. They want answers. Good, it is time. Time for what? You keep saying that, but you won't explain." Images flashed through Elena's mind. Stars dying, planets cracking apart, something dark and hungry moving between galaxies, eating everything in its path. The Devourers return. The barriers weaken. New guardians must be chosen. Elena felt her blood turn cold. Devourers? What are Devourers? More images. Creatures that existed in the space between dimensions. They didn't just destroy matter and energy. They erased things from existence completely. Where they passed, even the memory of what had been there disappeared. We fought them before. We won, but at great cost. My makers sacrificed themselves to build the barriers that keep the Devourers away. Your makers? You mean the precursors? Yes, they scattered guardian ships across time and space. Each ship would wait until a worthy species found it. Each species would inherit the responsibility to fight when the Devourers returned. Elena's legs felt weak. She sat down in the command chair, still connected to the Guardian's mind. You're saying humanity was chosen? To fight these things? Not chosen, tested. Many species have found guardian ships. Most failed the test. They used the technology for war against their own kind. They were removed? Removed? The ships destroyed them. Better to lose one species than to give weapons to the unworthy. Elena thought about all the wars humanity had fought. All the times they had turned technology into weapons against each other. Why didn't you destroy us? Because you passed the test. You built the ship, but you hid it. You gained great power, but you did not use it to conquer. You remained divided, but you did not destroy each other. Elena felt the Guardian's attention turn toward the alien ships approaching Earth. And now the final test begins. What final test? First contact. How will humanity react when faced with superior alien technology? Will you surrender your power? Will you fight? Will you choose cooperation or domination? Before Elena could respond, alarms started sounding throughout the ship. The lights in the command center shifted from blue to red. Guardian, what's happening? The barriers crack. They come. Elena's mind filled with images from deep space. Reality was bending and twisting near the edge of the solar system. Something was pushing through from another dimension. The Devourers? The first scouts? The main force will follow if these succeed. Elena felt panic rising in her chest. Can the Prometheus fight them? Alone? No, but not alone. The test becomes real. Elena activated the ship's communication system. She needed to warn Admiral Chen and the alien fleet. Admiral Chen, this is Dr. Vasquez on the Prometheus. We have a problem. A big problem. Sarah's voice came through the speakers immediately. Elena, what's wrong? Space is tearing open near Pluto. Something is coming through. Something that wants to destroy everything. There was a pause. Then Sarah's voice came back, tight with control. Elena, the alien commander is here with me. He wants to talk to you. A new voice came through the communication system, deeper, with an accent Elena had never heard before. Dr. Vasquez, this is Commander HFY. Our sensors are detecting massive quantum distortions in your outer system. What is the nature of this threat? Elena looked at the Guardian's interface. Lights pulsed in patterns that somehow conveyed encouragement. Commander, have you ever heard of the Devourers? The silence that followed was long and heavy. Dr. Vasquez, that is impossible. The Devourers are a myth, a legend from the oldest galactic archives. They're not a myth. They're real, and they're trying to break into our dimension. Elena transmitted the sensor data from the Prometheus to both the alien ships and Admiral Chen's command center. Commander HFY's voice came back, but it sounded different now, frightened. These readings, this is a dimensional incursion, but the energy levels are enormous. Whatever is coming through could destroy entire star systems. Elena took a deep breath. Commander, I need to tell you something about the Prometheus, about what it really is. Over the next hour, Elena explained everything. The Guardian's true nature, the ancient war against the Devourers, the network of Guardian ships waiting throughout the galaxy, the test that every species had to pass. When she finished, Commander HFY was quiet for a long time. Dr. Vasquez, what you're describing, it explains many things. Ships found by species that later vanished, technology that seemed too advanced for its discoverers. The Council always assumed they destroyed themselves with weapons they couldn't control. They were destroyed because they failed the test. Admiral Chen's voice joined the conversation. Elena, what you're saying is that humanity is responsible for fighting these things. Not just humanity. Any species that proves worthy becomes a guardian, but we can't do it alone. Elena felt the Guardian's attention focus on something in deep space. The first Devourer scout had broken through into normal space. Guardian, show them. The Prometheus's sensors transmitted a clear image to all the ships in the system. Near Pluto, space had cracked open like broken glass. Something was coming through the crack. It looked like darkness given form, with edges that hurt to look at directly. Commander HFY's voice was barely a whisper. By all the stars, it's real. Elena stood up from the command chair, still connected to the Guardian. Commander, Admiral, we have a choice. We can fight this thing together, or we can watch it destroy everything we've ever known. Dr. Vasquez, Commander HFY said, my ships are armed, but our weapons are designed to fight other ships. How do we fight something that exists outside normal space? Elena felt the Guardian's knowledge flowing through her mind. Weapons that could hurt concepts themselves, shields that could protect against the erasure of existence, the same way the precursors did, with technology that bends the rules of physics. With ships that can fight in multiple dimensions at once. The Prometheus can do that? The Prometheus was built to do that. But it will need help. Your ships, our ships working together. Elena felt something else from the Guardian. Pride, maybe. Or hope. The test continues, it said in her mind. Show them what humanity truly is. Elena opened a channel to all the ships in the system. This is Dr. Vasquez aboard the Prometheus. We have enemies incoming that want to erase us from existence. We have allies who barely know us, and we have a choice to make. She paused, feeling the weight of the moment. We can choose fear and die alone, or we can choose hope and fight together. The response came immediately from Admiral Chen. Elena, what do you need? Form a defense line between Earth and the incursion point. The Prometheus will teach your ships how to fight something that shouldn't exist. Commander HFY's voice joined them. Dr. Vasquez, my fleet is at your disposal. Elena smiled for the first time in days. Maybe they could pass this test after all. The combined fleet formed a defensive line between Earth and the growing tear in space near Pluto. Admiral Sarah, Chen watched from her command ship as human and alien vessels worked together for the first time in history. It should have been a moment of celebration. Instead, it felt like preparing for the end of everything. Admiral, her tactical officer called out. The Prometheus is transmitting new data. Some kind of upgrade package for our weapons systems. Sarah looked at the data streaming across her screens. The information was unlike anything she had ever seen. Equations that described how to make energy work backwards. Instructions for building shields that could protect against attacks that hadn't happened yet. Can our ships handle these upgrades? Unknown, Admiral. The technology is so advanced that our computers are having trouble understanding it. On the main screen, Sarah could see the Prometheus moving between the human and alien ships. Wherever it went, the other vessels began to change. Their hulls grew new armor that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Their weapons took on shapes that hurt to look at directly. Commander HFY's voice came through the communication system. Admiral Chen, my science officer says these upgrades are impossible. They violate several fundamental laws of physics, Commander. I'm starting to think that the laws of physics are more like suggestions when you're dealing with precursor technology. Dr. Vasquez's voice joined the conversation from the Prometheus. Admiral, Commander, I need you both to understand something. What's coming through that tear isn't just an enemy. It's the opposite of existence itself. Sarah looked at the sensor readings from the incursion point. The tear in space was getting bigger. Things were moving through it that her instruments couldn't properly detect. They showed up as holes in reality, places where nothing existed anymore. Elena, explain that in simple terms. Imagine if you could erase something so completely that it had never existed in the first place. No memory of it. No effects from it having been there. That's what the Devourers do. Commander HFY's voice was quiet. Dr. Vasquez, our oldest legends speak of such things. We always thought they were stories told to frighten children. They're real, and they're why the precursors sacrificed themselves 3 million years ago. Sarah watched as more shapes emerged from the tear in space. They moved in ways that made her eyes water. Sometimes they seemed to be in several places at once. Sometimes they seemed to not be anywhere at all. Elena, how many of them are there? The Guardian says this is just the first wave. If we don't stop them here, more will come. Eventually, they'll bring enough force to crack open permanent doorways between dimensions. Sarah's communication officer looked up from her station. Admiral, I'm receiving reports from our outer system monitoring stations. Space is starting to crack open in other locations too. How many locations? 17 and counting, Admiral. Sarah felt her heart sink. How could they fight enemies in 17 different places at once? Dr. Vasquez seemed to read her thoughts. Admiral, the Prometheus can handle the multiple incursion points, but the main tier near Pluto needs to be closed by the combined fleet. Elena, are you saying you're going to fight 17 battles by yourself? Not by myself. The Guardian has been calling out to other Guardian ships. Some of them are answering. Sarah's tactical display lit up with new contacts. Ships were appearing throughout the solar system. They looked similar to the Prometheus, but each one was different. Some were sleek and elegant. Others were massive and heavily armed. All of them radiated power that made the space around them bend and twist. Commander HFY's voice was filled with awe. Those ships? They're not from any species I know. They're from species that passed the test, Dr. Vasquez explained. Guardian ships from across the galaxy, the precursor's final gift to those worthy of inheriting their responsibility. Sarah counted the new ships on her screen. 12 Guardian vessels, each one potentially as powerful as the Prometheus. For the first time since this crisis began, she felt hope. Elena, what's the plan? The Guardian ships will handle the smaller incursions. Our combined fleet needs to close the main tear before it gets too big to stop. How do we close a hole in space? The same way you close any wound. You bring the edges together and seal them. Sarah looked at the tactical readout. The tier near Pluto was now over 1,000 kilometers wide. Dozens of Devourer scouts had already emerged, and more were coming through every minute. Elena, that doesn't sound simple. It's not. The Prometheus will need to get close enough to the tier to use its quantum core to reverse the dimensional breach. But the Devourers will try to stop us. Commander HFY's tactical officer broke into the conversation. Dr. Vasquez, our sensors show massive energy building up near the tear. Something big is coming through. On the main screen, the tear began to pulse with dark light. The space around it started to fold and twist as something enormous pushed through from the other dimension. What emerged made everyone watching go silent. It was a ship, but calling it a ship was like calling a hurricane a gentle breeze. The Devourer vessel was made of the same reality-warping darkness as the Scouts, but it was kilometers long and covered with weapons that existed in dimensions human minds couldn't comprehend. Elena, Sarah whispered, please tell me the Prometheus can fight that thing. The Prometheus can fight it, but not alone. We need every ship we have working together. Dr. Vasquez's voice became urgent. Admiral, Commander, I need you to trust me completely. What I'm about to do will look like I'm attacking your ships, but I'm not. I'm linking them to the Prometheus so we can fight as one fleet. Sarah felt her ship shudder as the Prometheus's quantum field connected with her vessel. Suddenly, her screens showed information she had never seen before. She could sense every ship in the fleet as if they were extensions of her own body. Commander HFY's voice came through the link, but it sounded different now, closer. Dr. Vasquez, this is incredible. Our ships are networked on a quantum level. It's how the precursors fought, not as individual ships, but as a single organism with many bodies. The massive Devourer ship began moving toward Earth. As it traveled, space rippled around it. Stars in the background flickered and went out, not destroyed but erased from existence. All ships, Dr. Vasquez commanded through the quantum link, form attack formation. We're going to show these things why the universe is worth protecting. The combined fleet moved as one. Human ships and alien ships and the ancient Prometheus, all connected by technology that bridged the gap between species and time. Sarah felt the power of the entire fleet flowing through her ship. For the first time in her life, she understood what it meant to be part of something bigger than herself. "Elena," she said through the quantum link, "let's go save the universe." The battle for existence itself was about to begin. On Earth below, 4 billion people looked up at the stars, unaware that their fate was being decided in a war between guardians and devourers, between existence and nothingness, between hope and the end of all things. The test was reaching its climax. Soon the universe would know whether humanity was worthy of the legacy they had inherited among the stars. The battle began with silence. The massive devourer ship fired first, but its weapons made no sound. They struck the shields of the combined fleet like anti-light, places where existence simply stopped. Admiral Sarah Chen watched 3 of her destroyers vanish completely. Not destroyed, not exploded. They simply weren't there anymore and never had been. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Dr. Vasquez commanded through the quantum link. "Don't let those weapons touch you. If they do, you'll be erased from time itself." The combined fleet scattered, human and alien ships moving in perfect coordination. The quantum link let them work together like fingers on the same hand. Sarah's ship rolled to avoid another erasure beam while Commander Zephi's flagship fired quantum torpedoes at the Devourer vessel. The torpedoes struck the enemy ship and exploded in flashes of impossible colors. But when the light faded, the Devourer ship was unchanged. "Our weapons aren't working," Commander Zephi reported. "They will," Dr. Vasquez replied. "The Guardian is analyzing their defenses. Give it time." Sarah looked at her tactical display. Around the solar system, the other Guardian ships were fighting the smaller incursions. Ancient vessels that had waited millions of years for this moment were finally fulfilling their purpose. But even with their help, the battle was not going well. "Elena, we're losing ships faster than we can replace them." "I know, but the Guardian has found a weakness." Through the quantum link, Sarah felt new information flowing into her ship's computers. The Devourer vessel wasn't completely real. It existed partially in normal space and partially in the dimension between dimensions. That's why normal weapons couldn't hurt it. "All ships, switch to quantum resonance mode," Dr. Vasquez ordered. "Target the dimensional anchor points." Sarah's weapons officer looked confused. "Admiral, I don't understand these new targeting instructions." "Trust the link," Sarah said. "Let the quantum network guide your targeting." The fleet reformed and fired again. This time, their weapons struck points of space that looked empty but weren't. The Devourer ship shuddered as its connection to the other dimension was damaged. "It's working," Commander Zephi reported. "The enemy vessel is becoming more solid." But the Devourer ship was fighting back. More erasure beams lanced out, and this time they found targets. Sarah watched 2 of Zephi's escorts disappear forever. "Elena, we need to end this quickly. I'm moving the Prometheus into position. When I give the signal, all ships need to channel their power through the quantum link to me." Sarah watched the Prometheus accelerate toward the massive tear in space near Pluto. The ancient ship moved through the battlefield like it was dancing, avoiding every enemy weapon with impossible grace. But something was wrong. Sarah could feel it through the quantum link. Dr. Vasquez was in pain. "Elena, what's happening?" "The Guardian is merging with my mind completely. It's the only way to generate enough power to close the tear, but..." "But what?" "But I might not survive the process." Sarah felt anger flash through the quantum link. Not just her anger, but the anger of every human and alien crew connected to the network. "Elena, there has to be another way." "There is no other way. This is what the Guardian was built for. This is what I was chosen for." The Prometheus reached the edge of the dimensional tear. Up close, Sarah could see that it wasn't just a hole in space. It was a wound in reality itself, bleeding darkness into their universe. "All ships," Dr. Vasquez commanded, "channel your power to me. Now." Sarah felt her ship's entire energy output flowing through the quantum link to the Prometheus. Every human ship, every alien vessel, all of them pouring their power into the ancient Guardian ship. The Prometheus began to glow with light that existed in dimensions human eyes couldn't see. Dr. Vasquez screamed through the link as the Guardian's consciousness merged completely with her own. And then Sarah understood Dr. Vasquez wasn't just controlling the ship anymore. She had become the ship. Her mind was connected to quantum computers that could process the mathematics of existence itself. Her consciousness was expanded to encompass the entire battlefield. "Elena," Sarah whispered through the link, "I can feel what you're feeling." "Then you know," Elena replied, her voice somehow both human and ancient. "You know what it's like to be responsible for everything." The Prometheus fired its main weapon at the dimensional tear. But this wasn't a weapon designed to destroy. It was a weapon designed to heal. Energy that could repair the damage done to space and time itself. The tear began to shrink. The massive Devourer ship realized what was happening and turned all its weapons on the Prometheus. Erasure beams struck the ancient vessel's shields, trying to delete it from existence. But the Prometheus held. Its shields, powered by the entire combined fleet, refused to break. "It's working," Commander HFY reported. "The dimensional breach is closing." Sarah watched as the tear in space grew smaller and smaller. The Devourer scouts that had already emerged were being pulled back into their own dimension. The massive enemy ship fought against the pull, but even its enormous power couldn't resist the closing of the breach. "Elena, you did it." But there was no reply from Dr. Vasquez. "Elena." The Prometheus was still glowing with quantum energy. Its hull had become transparent, revealing the ancient systems inside. And at the center of it all, Sarah could see a figure that might have been human once but was now something more. "Elena, can you hear me?" "I can hear everything," came the reply, but the voice was different now. Still Elena, but also something else, something older. "I can hear the songs that stars sing. I can feel the dreams of planets. I can see the paths that time takes through space." Sarah felt tears running down her face. "Elena, are you still human?" "I'm still me. But I'm also the Guardian now. I'm part of the network that protects the galaxy." The dimensional tear snapped closed with a sound like reality healing itself. The massive Devourer ship was gone, pulled back into the dimension between dimensions. The smaller incursions throughout the solar system were closing too, as the other Guardian ships completed their missions. "The immediate threat is over," Elena said through the quantum link. But this was just the first wave. "There will be others." Commander HFY's voice was filled with awe. "Dr. Vasquez, what you've done, it changes everything. The Galactic Council needs to know that humanity has proven itself worthy of Guardian status." "What does that mean?" Sarah asked. "It means your species is no longer under evaluation for membership in the galactic community. You're being offered leadership positions." Sarah looked at the Prometheus, still glowing with ancient power. Elena was still there, but she was also something more now. A bridge between human and precursor, between the past and the future. "Elena, what happens now?" "Now we build more ships. We train more Guardians. We prepare for the next time the Devourers try to break through." Sarah felt the quantum link beginning to fade as the emergency was over, but before it disappeared completely, she felt Elena's consciousness touch hers one more time. "Sarah, tell my family that I'm still me, different but still me, and tell them that what we do out here among the stars we do to protect everything we love." The link ended. Sarah sat in her command chair, looking out at the stars. Earth was safe. Humanity had passed the test. They were no longer alone in the universe, but they were no longer innocent either. They had inherited a responsibility that spanned galaxies and eons. They were Guardians now, protectors of existence itself. On the communication channel, she could hear Commander HFY coordinating with his fleet. Human and alien crews working together to patrol the areas where the dimensional tiers had appeared. Sarah opened a channel to Earth. "This is Admiral Chen. Crisis is over. We're coming home." But even as she said it, she knew that home would never be the same. Humanity had reached for the stars and found them full of wonders and terrors beyond imagination. The Prometheus moved away from Earth, beginning its patrol of the outer system. Inside its quantum core, Elena Vasquez continued her transformation into something that was both human and Guardian, past and future, mortal and eternal. In the depths of space, reality held firm against the forces that wanted to unmake it, and standing guard against the darkness, ancient ships waited with human hearts and alien minds, ready to fight for the universe they had inherited. The test was over. The real work was just beginning. Humanity had earned its place among the stars. Now they had to prove they could keep it.